to Let's Play Gran Turismo 3, episode 110. Or 110, I should say. Anyways. It is officially time for both the third and final part of the cleanup races, as of which we now have just 4 races left. 3 of them being in the All Japan GT Championship, and 1 of course being in the professional VITS race. So let's head over to our first race, which I'm pretty sure is going to be a test course. And of course, as you would have anticipated, the car I'm going to be using, since I've already driven the Mazda, is going to be the Nissan R390. So I'm just going to do the usual shit. So just going to put on the Super Slicks, so tyre degradation isn't a problem, and sure, why not? Let's put on the fucking stage 3, since that is important. Anyways, let's now head over to our first race, which is test course. And all I need to do now is convert that 4th position into a 1st position. And already the competition, more or less, looks like what I would have expected. So, just gonna give this thing a bit more speed. Also gonna take off the driver aids because I don't need them. Also gonna put this thing down to minimum downforce. Alright, let's go to 15 laps of test course. I think I have enough power to keep this one going without hitting the rev limiter too many times. Although, since I know very well this is going to be 15 laps of me just fading away into nothingness, I am pretty sure that this race will more or less be an easy dub once I've managed to build up enough speed, considering at the moment I'm already up to about 225 miles an hour, I think. Building up speed as I head down the front stretch. I'm pretty sure this will probably take some time for me to finish, because it is 15 laps after all. Even though this car may not necessarily be as fast as the Mazda, I figured since I'd already driven the Mazda, I might as well give myself a different car to use, and that's exactly what I have done up to this point. Just more or less keeping myself up front as it currently stands, and it is now the Supra that officially takes hold of the 2nd position, while I am just continuing to pull away. as I would have anticipated myself to do so. And one thing I actually didn't notice about this thing is how good it handles on these high banks. I mean, it's certainly handling better on this track than I would have thought it was going to. I mean, it's certainly looking like it's, doing that sort of job that I didn't necessarily expect it to do. And well, since I'd already driven the something coming within my throat. Could be a potential burp that I'm feeling, but anyways. I've only just noticed how good this thing handles on these high banks. It's like it's actually doing a pretty good job on withstanding the high banks the way they currently are. Although, fortunately for me at least, it's not another like the wind. Because this race is only 15 laps long, whereas like the wind was notably 20 laps long. Because, well, that event is pretty much an endurance race, which I clearly dominated. Pretty much any given circumstances. Yeah, keeping it all nice and smooth on the entries here. Even though I will be trying to see if I can manage to go the distance with the setup I currently have. Although then again, of course, it just depends on knowing if I manage to stay awake for long enough, because ultimately, this is a long race, and I'm pretty sure that if I used the Mazda, it probably wouldn't be much different than it is now. I mean, even though the Mazda is quicker, the truth is, I'm okay with what I already have, so I'm just going to stick with it. So, I think the only option I really have is just to stick with it. So that's what I'm doing. As I'm dropping off the Richard Petty line, as they would call it in NASCAR. Needed to have a sip of water so I could carry on with this. And ironically enough, I would say at the moment I'm going very well. I'm basically performing beyond my expectations. Again. Because I knew very well that's what was going to happen. Okay. Well, my time is getting faster and faster at the moment, but I'm pretty sure that streak will end sooner or later. Just pretty much on an absolute tear compared to the AI at the moment. And I'm pretty sure those are the Hondas all the way at the back of the field. It's also because, well, furthermore, I don't have the Toyota GT1 in my garage, unfortunately. Well, I don't have either of the Toyotas, in fact. I haven't got the GT1 road car or the race car, which I think is quite unfortunate, but whatever. I am less than a lap ahead of the rest of the pack, because that is how dominant my Nissan R390 currently is. Oh, that's all. I got distracted by looking at the clock. This probably isn't going to be a good start to this lap, unless I can get somewhat of a tow from the two Hondas without making contact. I think that probably is the best thing I can really do. To this point, so that's about 73 seconds through of the soup by now, even though at the moment, of course, he is clearly locked in combat with the two Nissans, and I would imagine before the end of this race I will have probably put the entire field at least one, maybe even two laps down, dependent on how long it takes me to overlap the entire field. Another one of the many great reasons on why I hate test course, because even though the AI make it look like it's good racing, realistically, most of the time I am not involved in that category of good racing. So, yeah, that's more or less climbing and climbing all the time. Don't really think I need to be too disconsolate over what's already taken place. And oddly enough, I set a new PB, ironically. Probably because I did not hit anything this time. Upstreaming from the two Hondas and heading up onto the high banks as I expected myself to do so. And this I am pretty sure will quite easily be probably another race where I overlap the entire field twice. And to those of you who probably remember this race, to those of you who probably remember like the wind, when I was in my Panos Esperante, I was expecting myself to be up against a pretty fierce competition, following the reaction of what I saw with the Dodge Viper, but then suddenly, on my second attempt, I realised the competition itself was a lot more, condensed compared to what it previously was. And oddly enough, that did actually surprise me, knowing that I did not have that much of a competition following my second attempt. I knew that was going to happen eventually, and I think I just fucked up the entry to this one, as of which I am once again running on a Richard Petty run for some reason, probably because I'm a NASCAR fan or something, I don't know, but yeah, I probably would predict I'll at least overlap the field probably twice think I have seriously fucked up my entry to this lap because I just hit the wall. And oddly enough, that wasn't even as a result of my car's boring, that was just me not paying attention to where exactly the bank things were. Strictly speaking. My attention during domination runs is actually, quite lackluster. Under the circumstances. Oh my god. I was nearly a second slower. Well, I guess that was because I hit the Pennzoil skyline as I was overlapping it. I don't think I need to be too concerned about that. I mean, I knew very well once I put on the turbo kit I was going to end up dominating this race anyway, and ironically that is precisely what is currently happening. Fortunately, after this, of course, I only have just one race remaining, and then once I have done that race... Sorry, we only have one race left after we've done the 3 races in the... All Japan GT Championship, and for that, of course, I'm going to be using... And once I have done with that, we should have probably begun the final championship of this game, considering I am trying my best to stay ahead of the rest of the game. Anyways, 9 laps are down and still 6 to go. Can I manage to get this race done within probably the next 10 minutes? Probably. Bottle of Pepsi out before I started recording this, then I wouldn't be quite as weary just riding on the high banks. I probably should have brought my Pepsi out, and I might actually sound more active than I currently am. At least I can say I do exercise. Unlike any of the lazy teenage boys. No, I do tend to exercise. At least the lads I do tend to exercise. There's just certain ones that I think are more lazy and inaccurate than myself. That are just, as lazy and that are probably, even more lazy and antisocial than myself. I have no idea why I pressed pause. Ignore what I just did there. But again, at least I know I don't have to do any more test course races after this. Because I think as far as I know, this is the last test course race I have to sweep up, at least ultimately before Formula GT, because, you know, that is something that, unfortunately, I still have to do. It's still a race I have to get involved with. But it's fine, because I'm pretty sure that once I've swooped up task course, that should at least be every other race pretty much done and dusted by the time we're done with this. Although I'm pretty sure by the time I've finished uploading everything on my channel, although by the time I have finished uploading these videos on my channel, I'm pretty sure that I will have probably started my next game by then, even though I will still be going on a hiatus period for probably a week or so, maybe. Okay, just 3 laps to go after this one. That's all there really is. And I still continue to touch the outside wall. As of which, if I was going to be doing that in real life, I would have probably already been wiped out up to this point. And I would have probably also been a wipeout at this speed that I probably would not have survived. Because if I actually made that sort of mistake on a course like this in real life, I have a feeling the crash itself would probably be fatal. Although oddly enough, of course, if there is anything these bankings here at Test Course make me feel nostalgic and reminiscent about, it would probably have to be the bankings on the Monza Oval. Even though in the early 60s, because of safety concerns, they effectively closed those bankings off. And to be completely honest, I actually don't blame them, but oddly enough, there were many concerns regarding the bankings, considering they were part of the original Monza layout. For many years in probably the 1920s and 30s. And I suppose in some cases you could also say the 40s as well. Because these bankings that I'm riding along here, they basically feel like the Monza bankings. Although, oddly enough, of course, if you have watched the John Frankenheimer film Grand Prix, you will probably know very well what exactly the bankings feel and look like. Because, realistically, I know for sure that, obviously, without a stock car that is basically designed to go on high-banked tracks, I'm pretty sure that all of the race cars would not have as much of a threshold on the banks compared to what NASCAR does. Because those cars are basically designed to go on high-banked tracks. And as for any other race car, I'm pretty sure there are probably many components within the car itself that would probably just fall to bits. And not just by the fact I'm saying that you're basically going really fast, and you're just going really fast at speeds of over 230 miles an hour, and basically just swearing to God that you're pretty much hanging on for dear life and hoping that something does not break on the car and make the entire thing fall to bits whilst you're still in the car. You could probably swear very well that if you were riding on something like this in real life and basically just doing it for a certain number of times lapse, it would literally just feel even worse than riding on the bankings of Athos. Well, either that or you would basically be riding on the bankings of Talladega Super Speedway, which by the way is considered by many as notably being the fastest speedway in the world, and is also pretty much a carbon copy of Daytona. I have no idea how I did not hit the Nissan in the rear that time, but anyways, final lap, and I reckon it's probably going to be somewhere over 25 minutes by the time this race is done, because oddly enough, this race has gone faster than I thought it was going to do. And officially, I have now overlapped the competition twice. And I don't think I need to see what the finishing order will be, because I'm pretty sure it will probably be the Soup in the end that eventually ends up winning the three-way battle, at least with himself and the two Nissans. Because I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. Though, meanwhile, for me at least, in my Nissan R390, I am very much on course to probably dominating this race under similar circumstances to how I dominated like the wind. Well, very much reminiscent conditions of how I dominated like the wind, because even in that race then, I basically overlapped the entire competition twice. Or at least I overlapped the second place car twice. And I have done it again. I have emerged victorious at test course. And ultimately, because I want to, let's see who ends up winning the battle. And as I would have predicted, it was the Soup that eventually won the battle. Yeah. Well, it's almost like what Martin Truex Jr. said in response to his Joey Logano's bump and run at Martinsville. And I think I'm doing this right in saying this, but yeah. Well, basically what he said was, he may have won the race, but he didn't win the damn war. And then suddenly, just like that, when you least expect it, guess what? He won the damn war. Considering NASCAR in 2018, which oddly enough under many circumstances was basically an embarrassing year for NASCAR following what happened, of course, with Brian France and everything that he did. Not going to go into discussions on that, but anyways, I think I'm going to switch back over to my red Pilafini 002 for Rome, because I have a feeling that race probably won't take too long. So yeah, let's go to it. Let's see if we can convert that 5th position into a 1st position. And this time, I am not going to forget to turn off the driver aids, because I do not need them. Right, 15 laps of Rome. Pretty confident I can win this. Let's see how we go. Excuse me. So yeah, basically overall, both Joey Logano and Martin Truex Jr. under those circumstances, they do have quite a history of making contact with one another. Although, at the very least, it's not necessarily my problem to discuss that sort of matter. Because I know very well there are probably lots of people that will want to talk about it, as well as lots of people who probably won't want to talk about it. But again, oddly enough, I just went through the final corner flat out. God, this thing has so much downforce. Although one thing I still hate about the Formula GT Championship is the fact and sake that I still have to go to test course. Which realistically overall is clearly not a track that was built for high downforce open wheel race cars like these, and especially not Indy cars. But yeah, basically what happened at Martinsville 2018 is that, well, Martin Truex Jr. was trying to secure himself a place for the Final Four at Homestead in Miami, and well, Joey Logano pretty much gave him the bump and run, and effectively he went onwards to win the race, and ironically enough, he also went onwards to also win, as MTJ would put it, the damn war. Because apparently it might be his car was literally that much better. Because apparently it might be that was literally when Joey Logano effectively became the upset winner in comparison to that year's Big Three. A season itself which was clearly dominated by three drivers. He basically won 2/3 of the races that were held in 2018. And of course, Martin Truex Jr. was notably alongside the likes of Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch in terms of officially knowing who exactly were that season's three most dominant drivers. And yet, ultimately overall, there was probably nobody who could have predicted that Joey Logano would eventually emerge as the winner of the final round over the Big Three, which oddly enough is an expression used to describe many different things. I mean, it was also something that was ironically used, of course, to describe the three main Allied leaders of the Second World War. Winston Churchill, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and Joseph Stalin, known of course as the Big Three of World War II, or in other words, the allies of the Second World War on the Western Front, which is basically Europe. But yeah, I mean, the Big Three is very much an expression used to describe many different things. Considering there was also the likes of BMW, Daimler and Volkswagen to officially describe the three biggest car manufacturers in Germany. And also furthermore, how could anybody ever forget the likes of Chrysler, Ford and GM in America? Because they are very much the top three car manufacturers in America. Or at least the biggest three automotive industries. I'm also trying to think about what else there is. I suppose you could also include Citroën, Peugeot and Renault as effectively being, you know, the top three brands of manufacturers in Italy. I'm also trying to think about what else there is. Well, you can probably understand what I mean anyway, about me pretty much, you know, including the aforementioned Big Three. I just figured I'd come up with some examples. I know to some people it might sound like I'm just ranting certain facts randomly, but again, at least I can say it as a fact, in me noting of course that, as I would probably say softly and slowly, facts do matter. Just like we have a reason on why exactly black flags matter. And also, coincidentally speaking, there is a channel by that name, Black Flags Matter. Or BFM for short, which is basically what that is short for. Just had to ease off through there because I noticed my tyres were getting more and more signs of degradation. As I now begin lap number 8 here in Rome. I'm also hopeful in saying that it will take me less than maybe 2 hours for me to finish this off. You know what? I think just because I want to, I'm going to go for one more run on this set of boots. At least for one more lap, and then I think that'll probably do it. Even though I could very well lose control of these things if I'm not careful. Because my rear tyres by now are pretty much fucked. But again, I think it is possible for me to control them. Even though this probably will be a slow lap compared to all the rest. But again, I'm only trying to preserve the tyres, just so I can coast my way to the pits. Whilst speaking under the terms of supremacy, whilst very much speaking under the terms of my open wheel supremacy that I've basically had in this race from start to finish. Anyways, pit stop time, as of which I decided to go a lap longer than I should have done, but whatever. It is what it is, I guess. Anyways, I am back on a fresh set of rubber, and I am still an entire lap ahead of the rest of the field after 9 laps, because that is how much more superior this car has been in comparison. I clearly have the overrated supremacy for this race. And it's also because, well, I'm trying to complete this game right on the cusp of when September ends, which, by the way, is probably going to be happening next week on Thursday, because that would be the 30th, and September usually does have 30 days. Myself just basically trying to see if I can get this game said and done with, and then basically I will basically not have to deal with much else after this by the time I'm through. Anyways, 11 laps will be completed this time around, and then once I've gone another 4 laps, that will be this race done. And also I might even get to overlap half the field twice in this race. So, alright, so laps into this race, we still have... Oh, okay, yeah, I need to connect my charger. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just noticed it said on my screen that my controller was needing charging, so I basically just figured I had to slow down and put it on the cable so I wouldn't have any major problems with the low battery charge. I mean, I usually do game, of course, with my controller connected to the charging cable, but again, these past couple of days I've not had it on the cable because of knowledge I've been trying to withstand. So anyways, going back of course onto the subject of NASCAR, it is fair to say that obviously with the recent controversy regarding Kevin Harvick having probably one of the most dominant seasons in the modern era of NASCAR, or at least one of the most dominant seasons in recent years. Ultimately, in spite of his seasonal domination in 2020, arguably overall he was notably able to win 9 races that season, which is virtually a quarter of an entire NASCAR season. But ultimately, because he was not able to score enough playoff points when it mattered the most, ultimately, in the end, he just did not even get to compete for the championship. And as a result, he eventually wound up 5th in the final standings. Again, proving, of course, on why exactly the playoffs in their current format at the present time do not work. And depending on knowing, of course, if NASCAR is going to stick to that format or not, personally I hope they don't, but if they do decide to stick with that unforgiving format, then I would say, under many circumstances, it's probably not going to work out for a long time. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, my sister just opened my door. I was trying not to say hi in the microphone. So I just realised I'm now on the final lap. A-Spec just literally followed me into pretty much the same mistake I made. And with this race, like I did at test course, I'm going to overlap the field twice in this race. And the reason why I chose to drive this car again is simply because, well, to give this car another test drive. Simply speaking, of course. And so, just got 2 more corners left to negotiate. And that was terrible, but again, it does not matter because I still win the race by an absolute margin anyway. By 2 laps to be precise. And don't need to see the remaining results, so let's just move on to Tokyo, and now it is time for me to switch over to the 001, because I've already driven my 002 around Tokyo. If you may remember prior to this segment. Oh, I actually hit that one right on the money. Anyways, it is time for Tokyo, and I just need to check and see. Yep. Alright, let's do this. 15 laps of Tokyo, and presumably 15 laps of domination. Anyways, let's go! Also, I just noticed we have the calsonic skyline in this race, which I don't know if there's another car I've seen throughout this game. the circumstances, that probably is a car I should have used, but I made the optimization not to, because, well, unfortunately I cannot drive every car in this game, and really had to go hard on the brakes through that because I noticed something like that would probably happen sooner or later. God, this thing has so much grip. Anyways, one lap is done. And I was so close to hitting the off-lighter. Trust me, I really was. And well, I think since the tyres have warmed up now, I probably have got a threshold. Understand probably in terms of the way it handles, and I need to scratch my nose. Oh shit. I figured that was going to happen whilst I was attempting to scratch my nose. Well, at least I can say I don't feel the itch anymore. Even though it can tend to get annoying. If something just tries to intentionally distract you, which I'm going to estimate is precisely what this did. Okay, I think I'm sorry. Meanwhile, we have just another 13 laps to go, if you include this one. I'm saying that I will manage to hopefully threshold on this thing. I would think up to this point it's going to be difficult to say for sure, but I might be able to get a threshold on this thing. As long as I don't crash too much. I think it is fair to say that I am starting to close in on the competition, judging by how far ahead I am at the moment. I'm pretty sure that I probably will overlap the competition twice, considering that is something I've been doing recently. By default of myself having easily the most dominant car of the day, given the circumstances. I think that was 2 seconds quicker than my previous best lap time. that I set with 001 here in Tokyo. I think it was like in the high 116s that I set with the... sorry, no, the 002. I set with the high 116s. I mean, they were still pretty quick lap times, but as well as I've discovered in terms of overall track pace, with this one having a higher revving V10 engine, this thing definitely looks and sounds like it can generate a lot more torque. I mean, even though this thing virtually has the same amount of horsepower as the 002, I can certainly tell you one thing. This thing is quick. And when I say quick, it's almost like lightning quick with its acceleration around cities and road courses. And I'm pretty sure these tyres will not last much longer, so I'm gonna have to pit in at the end of this lap, methinks. Isn't necessarily the sort of strategy I would usually take towards something like this, but again, it's probably the only way I know for sure that I can finish on a fresh set of tyres. And as of which, up to this point, I have now overlapped most of the field. Crashing, so I might as well stop in for a fresh set of mediums, considering I literally cannot do any tuning to this thing whatsoever. Except for an oil change, because, well, obviously, I think this car is meant to be exclusive to the game or something. I think that's what this is meant to be. It's basically a car that's primarily exclusive to the game itself, and I'm also pretty sure that this car is not meant to have any tuning on it. I'm pretty sure GT4 has more or less the same thing, given the circumstances. Because, well, it basically has the circumstances of more or less making the Formula GT, Formula Gran Turismo, as it's known in GT4 from that particular game onwards. But yeah, so basically from GT4 onwards it's just known as the Formula Gran Turismo, at least from I think 4 to 6 as far as I know. And it's a car itself that's basically exclusive to that game itself, and it's basically a car that was licensed by Polyphony Digital themselves, and ultimately, as a result, of course, since the car itself is one of the GT exclusives, it's the main reason why the F1 cars in this game, as well as Gran Turismo 4, under why exactly it cannot have any tuning done to it in any way, shape or form. Well, unless you're going to count for an oil change or a car wash, but that's all you can really do. You cannot put on any actual upgrades to the car itself. Because the car itself is purely, in many cases, its own independent phenom. Or its own independent intellect. As in, like, it's basically a car that has pretty much all the tuning I assume it needs, but again, I cannot be sure of these things. So that's obviously why I'm sounding mysteriously questionable with my adversarial facts. Or adversarial facts. Don't know if that's a word. Tell you for sure if my facts are correct or incorrect, but I'm sure somebody in the comments section will probably tell me if I'm wrong or right at some point. But anyways, I think we have just one race left after this one. And then once I've done that, it should be all of the cleanup races done and dusted. Once I'm done with this, and then one more race. Effectively. So, just got 2 more laps to go on this stint. And then once this stint is done, I can basically just spend the final 3 laps of this race more or less just going like hell. Considering that is probably what I will do. Basically just be racing the final 3 laps like I'm a bat out of hell to cross-referencing Meatloaf. Time twisted at the foot of a burning bike. I think someone must be talking. Block this video for me just basically cross-referencing song lyrics, because, well, fuck the internet under those particular circumstances. I'm just not prepared to use those songs themselves just for the benefits of viewership. Unless it's for video game intros. which is basically what I usually tend to do. Anyways, overlapping the back of the field once again, and I also make a little contact there with the Honda, but again, does not matter because I'm coming in the pits anyway this time around. I know for sure these tyres will not go another lap without me crashing, so I do of course need to come in and change the tyres, considering I would imagine I probably will overlap those guys once again. Excuse me. Fortunately for me at least, I only have one clean-up race left and then it's all over. I do not have to sweep up any more races before we start the final championship event of this game overall. And I am continuing to drop the balls. Oh fuck. I clicked the inside barrier. Pretty sure that was a guardrail I clicked there. Anyways. I'm coming back of course to overlapping the rear of the field and more or less hitting top speed as I came down the front stretch, and all I have left now is the Honda NSX to overlap, and then that should once again be another race where I have overlapped the competition twice, because that is how much more dominant my car has been compared to the AI. Yeah, close enough. It's probably about as close as I can get to making contact. And the suit was not being very helpful. Especially considering I am trying to see if I can beat my personal best, but I think that costed me. Even though it probably didn't, I think it did cost me some. Okay, well it didn't cost me too much because I still went the fastest anyway. Anyways, final lap. And then after this I will have just one race left. So, final lap of Tokyo, and also furthermore, the final lap of the penultimate clean-up race. I tried seeing if I could split this up into 3 parts, and I'm hopeful in saying that this is where I will succeed. Even though editing these videos will probably end up being a nightmare, because of how many races I've done for each of these segments. Although hopefully this one won't be as much of a nightmare as the previous 2 were. Or will be, because I'm pretty sure they will probably irritate me in some places. Meanwhile, victory in Tokyo. Open wheel supremacy has dominated Super GT supremacy shit. Whatever. Anyways, we have just one race left. Excuse me. Alright, So we have just one race left. And so, as far as I know, that should be every other event swept up. And we are now 97.7% complete. And also, I now have a total of 335 wins to my name. So, all I'm going to do now is find out where my Toyota Vitz is. And here it is. Back into the Toyota we go for the final cleanup race. And then, once I have done this... yeah, those are the cars we can use, but... anyways... let's move onwards to the final cleanup race. And pretty sure I don't need to change anything, so... let's just get to it. Hopefully I am on the Super Slicks, and hopefully I will have done everything I need to do in order for myself to actually win this race. And if I have not, then well, God give me strength. Because I think I will have done everything that I need to do in order for this to become possible. And I've also just remembered that I am driving a much slower car compared to what I was driving previously. I have to be back up to specs with the AI. But that's okay, because I'm pretty sure these AI will probably be on worn tyres by the time I get up to the end of this race anyway. And even though I did not predict I'm going to overlap the field, I can at least predict that once pit stops have been made, there will at least be an element of confidence in saying that I might be able to win this race. Now, I'm not saying that I will, I'm only saying that I might. And I must be on the Super Slicks, because I'm pretty sure my tyres were not staying blue for this long in the lap, so I must be on the Super Slicks. I've just got to be. There's literally no other excuse I can think of. And I'm pretty sure the rest of the field is going to be extending their advantage as the matter currently stands, but that's okay, because I'm pretty sure they will have to pit, whereas I will not. Hopefully. And even though technically I am at the back of the pack at the moment, I'm pretty sure their tyres will begin to fall off pretty soon from what I can make out. And I am hopeful in saying that I will eventually have enough speed to go the distance. The one problem I do have, of course, with this thing is speed. Now, I could have put on the transmission if I really wanted to, but I decided I wasn't going to because I want to do this for entertainment purposes, but I'm hopeful in saying that this will eventually result in being a dub. Considering I knew this would probably end up being one of the most challenging races for me to sweep up, but I'm pretty sure that I can, even though I am sliding around a lot at the moment and can't really seem to do anything about it. So just gotta live with what I have and try and see. just try and see if I can work with it. Even though I probably should do something. So I might actually have to drag my car on the outside walls just to not make it so I'm falling too far back. Just to make it so I'm not falling too far back. Right. Now, I know you may see me cheating in this because you know I'm using the walls, but quite frankly, up to this point, I just want to get this race over with, so I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the game, pretty much. So you might see me using the walls probably more than a couple of times, just for myself to try and keep up with the AI. Even though I should probably just be patient and wait for pit stops to happen. And then, once the AI have pitted, that is when I will prosper. And what I mean by prosper, well, I mean I will hopefully win. Because given the circumstances at the moment, I am seriously hoping for these AI to pit. And I am also hopeful in saying that I've got the Super Slicks on, so that I can pull this off. Even though I probably should have put on some more weight reduction before I did this, because my car appears to be spinning the front tyres a lot, which means of course that I'm getting a lot of understeer. Which means, of course, that at the moment I'm getting a lot of understeer. I've just got to keep myself close to the AI, at least in terms of, you know, not falling too far back. Or, you know, just trying to stay within a pit stop of the AI, at the very least. Which is the main reason why I'm using the walls at the moment. Just so I can keep up with the AI. And it's also because, well, I really do not want to end up doing this again. Although this probably will be the most entertaining race for you as the viewers, because, well, it's basically myself pretty much in a duel with the pink bits, just trying to win a race where I am pretty certain that speed is probably the key for me to winning my race. But again, at the moment, of course, I'm not falling too far back from the AI as it currently stands, and even though speed is not necessarily on my side, I think it's only going to be a matter of time before their tyres start to wear off. And then, once they have worn off, that's hopefully when I will manage to close in on the units. And I do, of course, very much say hopefully in caps lock, because I really do not want to end up doing this again. And even though I will definitely play this game again at some point in the future, I've got no problems with that. It's just, you know, a matter of knowing if I can manage to cope with actually trying to win a race where I know for sure I'm not wanting to have any, you know, repeats. Well, 10.7 seconds. I think as far as I know, at least if I can remember the championship that I was in with this car originally, or at least, you know, in the professional Vits race if I remember correctly. And I am starting to close in, so their tyres must be starting to wear off up to this point, which is assumingly the only reason why I'm catching them. But up to this point, of course, even though top speed is still a problem with this thing, ironically enough, I am still able to see myself keeping to within a pit stop of the AI, and as of which up to this point, I am definitely starting to close in, because it was 10 seconds the last time around, and now it's down to 9 seconds, so I found a second as a result of that, and I forgot to push on the throttle on the exit. But again, it's fine, because I'm still keeping myself in contention, even though I am cheating in some cases. I do admit myself to cheating, but, you know, it's just something I have to do to not fall too far back to the AI, because this race itself will clearly be decided on tyres, and I'm pretty sure it will be the front tyres that wear out before the rears. So something tells me I might be in trouble by the time we get to the end of this race. Although I am hopeful in saying that I will not be in too much trouble by the time this race is over. Because the wear on the front tyres at the moment is concerning me. Well, I guess there are certain walls around this circuit that do work, as well as certain, walls around this circuit that don't work. I guess that's all I can really say at the moment. And well, because of how much understeer this thing has, with it being front wheel drive, that's probably the main reason why exactly. I'm able to get the advantage on the AI at the moment. They are coming into the pits, so their tyres must have worn off quicker than I was anticipating they would. And oddly enough, as a result, of course, I do need to build myself up to a relatively comfortable lead if I'm going to survive, if I'm going to have enough audacity to survive the remaining plethora of laps in this race. The plethora number of laps in this race that remain. Well, 5 if we're being calculative, but sometimes I like to be wordy with my descriptions. Even though sometimes I can tend to overdo it, the truth is, I still feel like there is enough confidence in my bloodstream that probably tells me I can maybe win the race this time. Because I'm pretty sure these AI will definitely be coming, but again, it'll just depend on knowing, of course, if the amount of understeer that I have in this car will ultimately be enough to prevent me from getting onto the end of this race, because this car has a shitload of understeer, and that's probably the main reason why my front tyres have taken as much damage as I suspected they would. Because this thing is front wheel drive. of course am deeply hoping that there is enough laps in front of me for me to officially stay out in front. And even though this thing only has 5 gears, the truth is, the 5 gears that this thing has, they're pretty short overall, and furthermore, the red zone basically goes from 6,000 RPM onwards, even though the needle itself does not actually prove that I'm entering the red zone until I've gone to like 6,500 RPM, more or less. So I'm pretty sure that up to this point that I'm not going to be seeing myself stay out in the lead much longer. Because these AI are already starting to cut that margin down, and I still have a handful of laps to go. I really don't know if I will or won't be able to win this, but I'm certainly fucking hopeful in saying that I will manage to win this race in the end. I do not have to deal with any pre-final championship animosities before, because I do not have to deal with any pre-Formula GT animosities before it. Even though I'm pretty sure that up to this point it will be difficult to say for sure if I will or won't manage to win this race. I mean, I'm hopeful in saying that I will, because I do have the superior tyres this time, but dependent on knowing if the super slicks are durable enough for me to last the distance, that I would think under many different circumstances will be an entirely different matter. But I'm still going to try, because after this I only have 3 laps to go, and I still need to try and see if it is even remotely possible for me to win this race. And yes, this thing is very understeery. Heading through the chicane, and ultimately now heading back up the start finish straight once again, and I think I should now have just 2 laps to go. Yeah, okay, 2 laps to go this time around. Which means, of course, that whilst I am on worn tyres, I do not have to worry as much about what exactly could happen. As long as I do not make any major slip-ups before this race is done, might be able to win it. That's only if I don't make any major slip-ups. Even though I probably should have done all 3 stages of weight reduction before I did this race. But again, the truth is I really don't care, because I more or less knew this was going to be a challenging race. I also pretty much more or less knew this was going to be quite a valiantly fought victory in many cases. I am very much hoping this will not be a debacle like it was last time, although it wasn't necessarily much of a debacle, it was more or less me just not being able to go the distance on the tyres I was using. And well, at the moment, I still have concerns for the tyres I'm using at the moment, but I don't necessarily have as many concerns on the super slicks than I did the slicks. So I've just got one lap to go here at Route 11, and then once I'm done with that lap, that basically means we can just focus on Formula GT. And that's all. As of which I did of course take a excuse me. As of which I did of course take a sip of water whilst I was heading down the front stretch. Although I would imagine the tyres for the AI by now have probably faded. So I'm pretty sure that any opportunities of victory they might have up to this point, as long as I don't bottle this, I would say any chances they have of victory, unless they really start going like bats out of hell, again to cross-reference both, then I would think up to this point, like I really don't have anything to lose. I mean, I might as well finish the race whilst I'm here, and I also might as well try and see if it's possible for me to dissuade the AI from using their best possible interests in, you know, trying to prevent me from winning this race. Well, their best possible interests in beating the pink bits in the race. Because this is the only GT meme that has a purpose to be alive. All the other ones are terrible. And not just because of BK4. Although if you really are wanting to look for GT memes that are not terrible, then you should check out the channel Thunder THR. Because his memes, even though they are GT memes, they are not as terrible memes as to what BK4 uses. Anyways, I win. And wonder what exactly my margin of victory will be in the end, considering it probably will be pretty close, but again, it was an interesting race overall, must be said, even though I did technically cheat a lot by using the walls. 22 seconds, and that was as a result of the AI's tyres falling off on the final lap. And oddly enough, I actually didn't cheat too much on that final lap. Anyways, that is done, and it's taken me just under 23 minutes to get that race over with. And so, that I believe, is the final race we need to clean up. And just gonna check again. Yep. That's every race on the gold. Also, gonna do a check through each of these just to be sure. And yep, that's everything. So, just gonna wash my car again, you know, just because I want to. And also gonna change the oil again, you know, just to keep this thing looking nice. Also, speaking of nice, I have a nice amount of money. Because as you can see there, I have 4,669,338 credits. And I am now 97.9% complete with the game overall. And my win ratio remains unchanged. How unsurprising. Anyways, that's officially it for the cleanup, and next time we shall be getting on with the final championship of the game, which is Formula GT. So with that, stay tuned for more of Gran Turismo 3.